G'day guys, and welcome to part 1 of the new travel series where I'm taking you guys on a full lap around Australia with me. Now, if you can't half tell, I've been waiting for this day for a very, very long time. And what better place to kick off the trip than Fraser Island. Now, we're not there yet. I know it might look like it, but we're actually at my favorite beach camping spot in all of Australia so far, which is Double Island Point. And tomorrow morning, we're catching the barge across to Fraser Island. So, I cannot wait. So grab a beer, kick back and relax because this is gonna be epic. Righto, so we're just about to pack up camp. We had a beautiful night here at Double Island Point. And we're gonna head down to the infamous INSKIP Point. Now, I've heard a lot of stories about INSKIP Point, people getting bogged. There's actually a Facebook page that's dedicated to that sort of thing. I'm not too worried though, because I've got the tires aired down correctly. Got a good set of all-terrains, so we're gonna head that way, all the way down, and hit the barge. So before we actually hit Fraser Island, I'm just doing a quick empty out of the dirty gear bag, including some other people's rubbish that they've left behind. And we are only a few hundred meters from the bins here, which is pretty sad, but nonetheless, there's bins all the way along this place. So if you come into a place like this, take your rubbish out with you. Okay, let's head north. You can see why they call it Rainbow Beach. It's the color on those cliffs. When it gets to golden hour, they turn all sorts of different colors. They're absolutely beautiful. So one of the ways you can get to INSKIP Point from Double Island is by taking the inland track like I am right now. So we've just made the turn off towards INSKIP Point, and it is getting very, very real. And I can hardly contain myself, or my excitement for that matter, because this is a dream come true. And we've been planning this for a very long time, and I've always wanted to go to Fraser Island, and we're about to go into the barge to get across. I cannot wait. And we're about to put it in high range 4-wheel drive. We're ready. Bring it on, INSKIP Point. Now, a lot of people might be intimidated by INSKIP Point because of all the stories you hear, but trust me, you air down your tires correctly, keep momentum, and you'll be fine. The barge across is only 10 minutes, and it'll cost you around $95 for one way, but it is cheaper if you get a return ticket. Just be prepared, if you've got a camper trailer, you might have to pay a little bit extra. You can also book this online before you arrive. And we are on Fraser Island. Woo-hoo-hoo! Now, the thing about Fraser Island which makes it so appealing and an absolute dream location for a lot of people, myself included, is the fact that there are so many things that you can do here. There's inland lakes, there's beautiful champagne pools, there's turquoise water all the way along the coast, the sunsets on the west coast. This place is a place that just keeps on giving, and I can't wait to explore it. But first on the agenda, we'll get to camp for the night, which is at Central Station. We'll cut across inland towards that, but I think before we'll do that, we'll check out a couple of the inland lakes. So we're just on our way down to the water's edge of the first inland lake that we've seen on Fraser Island, which is Lake Boomingin. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but if I'm not, I apologize. But check this out. So straight off the bat, the first thing I definitely underestimated about Fraser was just how gigantic these inland lakes are. So we're at Lake Birrabeen at the moment, and it is freaking huge. On the map they don't look that big, but just goes to show you just how gigantic this place is, and it looks spectacular. No one else here either. This is awesome. So this is Lake Birrabeen. It's really weird to see such white sand on the edge of a freshwater lake. This water is crystal clear. And this is apparently one of the most underrated places on Fraser Island, which is bizarre. Unreal. Lake Birrabeen, Lake Boojameen, check. Now we're gonna go set up camp for our first night on Fraser at Central Station. Rightio, so the first night on Fraser checked off, and what a place to do it. Central Station, if you're coming to Fraser Island, I highly recommend it. Hot showers, fresh drinking water, and beautiful campsites to choose from. For now, we're heading to Lake Mackenzie, the infamous Lake Mackenzie. I've heard a lot about it. Apparently it is absolutely gorgeous, so pretty keen to check that out. Well, I was told Lake Mackenzie was one of the most beautiful spots on Fraser, and people weren't lying. It's like a tropical paradise. The sand is so white, it's actually hurting my eyes. I reckon I'm gonna break out the paddleboard and go for a paddling. It's really easy to see why this place is so popular. You could literally spend a week here and never get bored. It's bizarre. There's such crystal clear water and white sand on a freshwater lake. How nuts is that? Okay, so we've just left Lake Mackenzie, and what a spectacular place that was. Definitely recommend you go there. It was a little bit busy while we were there, but we just found a nice little quiet spot around the corner where no one else was. Took it all in, had a bit of a go on the paddleboard, fell off as per usual because I'm about as agile as a baby giraffe with these long legs. Nonetheless, absolutely loving it. One of the things I'm really loving about Fraser Island so far is the fact that there's so much culture and history behind this place, and you can learn it all. There's signs up everywhere you go pretty much that give you a whole bunch of knowledge from the traditional owners of the land. It's unreal. I'm loving this place. How bloody good! We've made it to the Maheno! I'm like a kid in a candy shop. I've been wanting to see this since I was a kid, and here we are. Okay, so we've just pulled up at our camp for the night. This place is incredible. What a day it's been. We've seen some awesome stuff. We saw a dingo again. Love dingoes. I reckon they're one of the coolest creatures that we have here in Australia, and we're so lucky that we have purebred dingoes here on Fraser Island. I reckon that's unreal. Place just keeps getting better and better. I honestly can't wipe the smile off my face. But anyway, back to the camping. We're camping in Maheno camping zone. Now when you apply for a permit to camp in this area, you get zone 5, which is what covers Maheno and Waba. So we've pulled up here at Maheno, and the reason I chose this one in particular is because we've got a bit of wind coming from the ocean, and these dunes here and the trees up on top should protect us from the wind. And we're gonna have an awesome night here, I can guarantee it. Nothing better than falling asleep to the sound of the waves crashing. G'day guys, another quick interruption here to offer another 10% off our entire store
by way of saying thank you to you guys from me and my entire team. You're the reason that we are able to do what we're doing, including myself on this entire series. So I wanted to offer another 10% off so you guys can do the same thing if you're doing a big lap, so go nuts.
Okay, so we're about to hit the beach and head north once again after our second night here on the eastern beach. We're gonna go check out Champagne Pools, a couple of other bits and pieces, but a hot tip for you when you leave a campsite, especially after you've been here for a couple of days, is to move your car forward a few meters and do what I call an emu bop. And that's where you go along and you look on the ground, sweep left and right and make sure you haven't left any rubbish behind. And if you come across rubbish that's not yours, just do the rangers a favor and pick it up. I know they're grubs and they've left their rubbish behind and they should have done it themselves, but at the end of the day, rubbish gets places closed down. So please do us all a favor and clean up.
Our first stop of the day is Eli Creek. Now I'm sure a lot of you have definitely heard of it. It is an absolute hotspot for families because it's a very safe place for your kids to swim. Just check this out, the water is crystal clear. You can take floaties all the way to the end on the boardwalk, hop in the water and float all the way back out, and you can pretty much do that all day if you wanted to.
Well, that was pretty cool. The fact that that's a freshwater creek that runs all the way back through here and out into the ocean, it's pretty awesome. Crystal clear water, a few fish in there, unreal. Okay, so a couple of beach driving tips for you, or soft sand in general. Number one, obviously it all comes down to tire pressures. So right now I'm on 16 PSI, which is pretty much my go-to for any sort of soft sand driving. It might be a little bit low for Fraser Island, but I have come across some really soft patches of sand where I'm glad that I had them that low. And I'm not really driving very fast. You just got to keep in mind that if you're driving long distances on hard, compact sand with low pressures, your sidewalls could overheat, but I'm not too stressed about that at all. Number two, we're about to go into some soft sand up here, and I'll show you what I mean while I'm talking about it. So I've found some ruts that I'm going to go into, and we're in them right now. So basically, I'm not going to fight the car once I've found myself in a rut. I'm going to let the ruts steer me to where I need to go. If I try and turn out of them, all it's going to do is make it harder on the car, and the only time you really need to do that is to give way to other people coming the opposite direction. The third point is when you're coming to a stop, try to minimize your braking. The reason you want to minimize it is because the sand is going to slow you down anyway, and all you're going to do by jamming on the brakes is build up sand in front of you and make it harder to take off when you want to get going again. And the fourth one would be to put your indicator on as soon as you see a person coming the opposite direction to show them which way you want to go. It's a really easy way to make sure you don't have a crash on the beach. And fifth and final point, I guess, would be to remember these are public roads and all the same road rules apply. So take it easy.
One place you definitely have to check out is Champagne Pools. Guys, I cannot stress to you how bloody awesome this place is. If you're wondering why they call it Champagne Pools, well, it's because when the waves come crashing over the rocks, it looks like champagne. One tip though, get there early to beat the crowds because as you can see, it's gorgeous and it will fill up quick. Righto, that's enough swimming for the day. Let's head north. Now our next obstacle of the day is the infamous Nagala Rocks. And I say infamous because no doubt you've definitely heard about it. Tons of people end up getting bogged here or they simply can't get past. And funnily enough, there was a big line of big jacked up four-wheel drives with 35-inch muddies and all the works that just could not get through. But the old Prado, she powered through it, no dramas. Granted, I did have to wring its neck, but she got up nonetheless. But on a serious note guys, the reason I made it through relatively easy was because I've got a good set of all-terrains and they're aired down correctly as I mentioned earlier. The tyres aren't oversized so the car's not struggling as much, and also my setup is a lot lighter than all those big four-wheel drives. Now the reason we're heading to Sandy Cape was one, because I've been told that it's an excellent spot that you should definitely check out. We're not actually going to be camping there unfortunately because all the campsites were booked out. So if you are planning to camp up here, make sure you book well in advance because as I found out, campsites go quick. Nonetheless, it's still an awesome place to check out because there's excellent fishing up here and there's a few bushwalks that you can do here, including up to the lighthouse.
So we did come up to Sandy Cape here to see the lighthouse, but didn't realize it's a 1.2k walk, which isn't that big of a deal, but we're limited on time due to the tides. We've got to get back. So instead, there's some World War II bunkers down this way that we're gonna go have a look, which are only 600 meters. Win-win. Spewing. Could definitely go through it, but again, we're short on time. I've only got pluggers with me, so oh well. Here's what it is. Next time, I'll definitely be coming back here, so not a worry. So we had to race against the clock and the tide to get back to this little crossover that you've got to do to get back to Orchid Beach. Now, I've seen a lot of videos of people getting bogged at this point, and there's quite a few big trucks in front of me waiting to go up, so hopefully they don't churn it up too much for us. We should be right, but we will see how we go.
Well, that didn't go to plan. I had a good run up with plenty of momentum, but as a bloke stopped here, it's actually bogged right in front of me. So time to break out the old recovery tracks and give this fella a hand. Righto, time for round 2. Let's go for it. Look at the Prado go. Nothing can stop this thing. 3rd gear low range, and I'm not stopping this time.
She's a bloody weapon. I tell you what, I don't care what you say. Call it a soccer mum car, I'll agree. But she's a bloody capable soccer mum car. Does everything that I want it to do. So, we have made it to camp just after sundown. Raced against the tide. Now we're just gonna set everything up, have a quick and easy dinner, head to bed, and then go exploring again tomorrow. Cannot wait.
Well guys, as much as I'd love for you to be seeing me on the island still, unfortunately I've got some sad news. My partner and I continued to have an absolute blast up on the island there. We explored the whole thing, had the time of our lives, and from there we headed north to Cairns. And while we were in Cairns, our car was broken into and a whole bunch of our stuff got stolen. Basically, we booked into a caravan park right in the middle of Cairns there, and on our 2nd night, while we were in bed, these little scumbags had the audacity to unlock, or open my car rather, and rummage through it and steal a bunch of our stuff. We woke up in the morning, my partner realized the driver's side door was slightly open. Came down, we realized the glove box and the center console were both rummaged through, put 2 and 2 together and realized what had happened. A few of the items that they stole included my GoPro, which had a bunch of footage, which I would rather be showing you right now, of Fraser Island. They stole a hard drive, which again had a whole bunch of photos and footage. Now, to be completely honest, I'd be lying through my teeth if I said it didn't put a dampener on the trip at first. Obviously, we were completely gutted. We'd never had anything like this happen before, and I'm sure anyone out there that has been robbed or broken into or anything like that would know the feeling, just feeling completely violated and just completely helpless, basically. However, we decided not to let this ruin our trip completely. We still had an absolute blast in Cairns. We decided to go snorkeling the very next day. We went out to Green Island, had a blast there. I got to go bungee jumping, which was a bucket list item. But yeah, we still decided to press on. Obviously, we had to replace a bunch of things so that I could keep the show on the road for you guys. All of your episodes are still coming at you. This series is not over by a long shot. You've got a lot of awesome episodes to look forward to, and I seriously cannot wait to share them with you either. So make sure, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button because you are in for an absolute treat with these coming episodes. The next time you see my ugly mug, it'll be in Cape York.